Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel for DSR Ghostwriting. This is Daniel Rosehill. I am a marketing ghostwriter and book ghostwriter based here in Jerusalem, in Israel. So in this video, I wanted to talk about a common question for those thinking about writing a book is whether you should write your own book or hire a ghostwriter to do it. So look, definitely there are pros and cons to each approach. And my intention in writing this blog post and in recording this video is not to just say, yes, hire me. I'm going to try be honest about the pros and cons of it. So I think if you have a book project, a book inside you, as they say, that's been pent up and you've wanted to write it for a long time, then it's definitely worth considering using a ghostwriter because, you know, if you've been thinking about writing this great book for 20 years and it hasn't happened, I think it's fair to argue that it may never happen, and that actually hiring a ghostwriter might be a really great way to take that dream and make a reality. The real advantage of working with a ghostwriter, a professional ghostwriter, and ghostwriters, by the way, are basically just freelance writers. You do have freelance writers that don't ghostwrite, so everything they write for their clients, they get a byline for attribution, like that little line at the top of the article saying who wrote it. And then you have freelance writers that just do ghostwriting. So ghostwriting used to be just about writing books. These days, I like to argue that, well, speechwriters are ghostwriters. But ghostwriters basically spend their life writing for other people. So they're a type of freelance writer. And that means that if you have, often people want to write books, they really have to kind of open themselves up to you. And I'm really talking about on a sort of emotional level, but maybe divulging, stuff like secrets. And if you're worried about that kind of thing, well, ghostwriters should be very, very professional in terms of respecting your confidentiality, dealing with things like non-disclosure agreements. If you don't want them to share, to get any co-authoring credit, then that can be something baked into a contract. So if that's something you're worried about, you have a great book idea, but it's kind of deep stuff, to speak very colloquially, ghostwriters are actually very, very skilled at dealing with those kind of situations. They're also professional writers. So books, if we talk about that, are pretty big projects, and they actually require some project management skills. Ghostwriters are really good at working with authors in order to come up with a skeleton outline, chapter outline, a timeline for the project, and then working through that in order to actually get the thing finished. One important thing about ghostwriters, and I'll do a separate video on this topic, is ghostwriters are writers, contract writers. The writers for hire, their job is to write you a book. They're almost never publishers. I'm not saying you'll never find a ghostwriter who also runs a publishing business, but by and large, that's a separate activity. So you have someone who'll write your book for you, and then someone who'll publish your book. Traditionally, you have publishing houses and imprints. These days, a lot of people are going down the route of publishing their own books via KDP, but you can't get... KDP is self-publishing. You can't just get a ghostwriter to publish it for you on Amazon typically, because that's a very separate activity. There's also legal repercussions when you publish. So they're writers, first and foremost. In terms of why not to work with a ghostwriter, you're going to be detached from the writing journey to an extent. If you write the book and you do everything yourself, well, that's really your project. If you do have a very relaxed idea in terms of time frame, or a very iffy idea of when you might get the book through to completion, then doing it yourself might actually be the better option, because you're not going to have a professional writer who needs to have some kind of deadline for his own purposes or her own purposes, breathing down your neck if things are moving too slowly or pushing you for interviews. So if you don't want any of that stuff, you might actually be better doing it yourself. And again, you don't have a clear timeline to publication, or if you really have all the skills you need. In other words, you're very confident in your writing abilities, you're very confident in your ability to gather and sort through the source material. You can also use an editor, for instance, to review your manuscript before handing it off to somebody else. And that's another advantage actually for ghostwriters, is they're often tied in to the other moving parts of the literary landscape, including people like literary agents, typesetters, cover designers, that kind of thing. All these different people that you might need to draw upon to get your book project from an idea in your brain through to a book actually sitting on a bookshelf somewhere. Hope this video was of interest. If you want to subscribe for more updates from me, Daniel Rosehill, then please check out DSR Ghostwriting's page on LinkedIn, and it's also on YouTube. Have a great day.